I'm going to just go through homework 9. So that's this data visualization homework that's on Moodle. So there are 5 parts to it, 5 questions, and we're going to answer them in Word and then save them as a PDF to submit them. Okay, she asked for us to submit the copy as a PDF. But before we can put them in Word, we've got a bit of work to do in Excel, and that's what I'm going to focus on here. So there are 5 questions. Like I said, the first question, what does corporate tax rate mean? I'll let you kind of do that yourselves and figure that out yourselves. So I'll focus on the Excel bits. So question 2 is create a color-coded Excel world map for the data on corporate tax rates. So the data on corporate tax rates is here. Let's open it up there. So what we've got here is a list of however many, 180 countries. So we've got each country and their corporate tax rate, and they range then. You can see United Arab Emirates is only 0, Cameroon is 33. So they're all within that kind of range. Okay. So what we want to do is convert this from this just list of countries and rates to a color-coded map. So I'll show you how to do that now. The first thing I would do is when I'm doing this, I'm going to assume that you have kind of no prior knowledge of Excel, right? So some of you might be fairly used to using Excel, and in that case, you might not need to follow this video that closely. There, on the 3rd tab here, there's a link to a Microsoft Office page where they go through this for you. I'm going to go through it a bit slower and explain everything, so you might be able to skip parts of the video, or you might find it useful to play and pause as you go along. So the first thing I do here would be to just put titles on this data here, okay? So I'll show you, you'll see in a few minutes why that might be a good idea. So we've got a list of countries here, and we've got a list of corporate tax rates here. So I just want to put in another row above this first row. So to do that, I'm just going to right click on that number 1 and click insert, and then we've got another row there. So these are our countries. So in this cell here, I'm just going to write country. And then these here are our corporate tax rates. So in this cell, I'm just going to write corporate tax rate. Okay, and as I said, we'll see in a minute why that might be a good idea to do that. So then to create the map then, we're just going to highlight all of this data. So you can either just click and drag, or else you can just do it using the keyboard. So highlight all this data, and then up here at the top, we click insert. And then over at charts, we have maps. A few people have said that they don't have that maps option on their own Excel. If you don't, you might be using an older version of Excel. So obviously if you can borrow a laptop off of somebody else, a friend or family member, that's great. The library also have lots of PCs that you can use in there, or laptops that you can borrow, I think short term, that you could do the assignment on. Or all Maynooth students also have access to Office 365, so you should be able to get Microsoft Office that way. I don't have a link, but if you just Google Maynooth Office 365, you'll find a link to find how to get it that way. So we're going to click Maps here, and we have the option here, Filled Map. The first time you click this, if you haven't done it before, you'll get a little pop-up asking you for permission to share your data with Bing or something like that. You can just click OK on that. So click Filled Map there, and it will take a minute, or for me anyway, it takes a minute or two to pop up. It might take longer, particularly if your laptop's kind of slow. That's fine, just kind of wait for it. Yeah, a couple of people also said that it was going very slow and their laptops were kind of crashing, or Excel was crashing when they were trying to do this. Again, you might just need to use a different laptop, especially if your laptop's a bit older or slow. You know, borrow one if you can, or else go to the library. So we've got our map here. So Excel has done this for us, right? I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just by clicking that and dragging. And it's given us a world map here, and for each country that we had here, it's filled in a colour based on its corporate tax rate, where the darkest shade of blue is 37.5% corporate tax, which is the highest, and the lightest shade then is 0 corporate tax. Okay, so Excel has done most of the work for us here, and all we really need to do is kind of format it slightly differently. So the first thing is here, it doesn't have a title. So I'm just going to double click there on chart title, and then replace that with corporate tax rate. Okay. Then up here, it gives us some options for different styles for the chart. So you can see, I'll just hover over them there. You can see it's slightly different there. You can have a different background, whatever. So I will make a couple of changes to it. This is your legend over here. So it tells us that what's being measured on the map is corporate tax rate, and it goes from 0 up to 37.5. The reason I put this heading in above this column here was just so that it would appear here as the title of the series. You could do that afterwards either, but I think it's just easier to have it in there so you can see clearly. So if I double click on the legend here, we can make changes to that, okay, over on the right hand side here. So, sorry, so for example, we can choose, if we click on this, we can choose where to put it on the chart. So if I click bottom, the legend will go in below the map instead of beside it. If you click this, show the legend without overlapping the chart, your legend will kind of go on top of the chart a little bit. You can see that there. Okay. So you can do whatever you want there. You can play around with it a bit. When you're doing stuff like this in Excel, really, a lot of the idea is just that you mess around with it a bit, see what it can do, get used to using it. You'll be using it a lot, not only in economics, but in other subjects as well. And also, like most jobs you go into, it's good to have some knowledge of Excel. It'll also make a lot of tasks that you're doing a lot easier if you're able to use Excel. Okay, so we've got the legend there. The next thing I'm going to do is just double click on the map here. If you double click on one of the countries, you can edit the series a bit. So this map projection here, if you change the setting here, it'll change the shape of the map slightly. See that now. I'm just going to keep it at the automatic one. You can choose to add labels to the map. Now, because the map is quite small, if we click show all, we'll just get a lot of kind of letters without full names of countries, so it gets a little bit messy. But if you click on best fit, it will just show kind of it will just add names to the kind of the biggest countries due to the size of your map, right? So Canada, USA, Brazil, Russia, China, whatever. And then series color here. So automatically it's going from a light blue to a kind of a dark blue. We can change that ourselves. So we could choose to go from, for example, a light green to the minimum is light green and the lowest is a dark green, for example, there. Or if you go from sequential 2-color to diverging 3-color, you can add more options, right? So you might go from a really light yellow to a orange kind of color to a dark brown or something like that. Okay, whatever you like yourself. Okay, so you can play around with them and kind of do it whatever way you think makes it clearest, I suppose. So that's more or less your map there. You can play around with different stuff in terms of the format of it, what color you want behind it. If you want to add a border, you can also do it up here. You see, you got chart designed here, but beside that is format. So for example, I might just add a black border around it like that. Okay, whatever you like. Like I said, it is a bit slow. So at times your laptop might kind of, or Excel might kind of freeze slightly while you're doing this. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Just give it time. So that's our map for corporate tax rate. So that's question 3. That's what it's asking us to do. If I went too quickly there, of course you can play and pause the video, but I'm going to be doing this again for the trade openness. So what we want to do then is copy that into a Word document. So if you just click on the map, right click and select copy. Again, this particular part can be a bit slow as well. Just give it a bit of time. But I'm going to open a Word document here. So I've opened the Word document here. I'm just going to paste it into that Word document, okay? Like I said, this can be slow, so you just need to give it time. I'll show you in a second, actually, if your laptop is a bit too slow doing this, there is kind of Might be able to speed it up, but okay, so I'll show you now. So we've pasted our map in here. If your laptop isn't really able to do this, or if it's just too slow, when you right click to paste, you can choose to paste it as a picture instead, which should be a lot quicker. The disadvantage is when you pasted that in as a picture, it's a picture, so you can't edit it at all. Whereas if you paste it normally, you can still make edits to it in Word, right? So if you right click on that, we can do all the same stuff that we were doing in Excel, right? Change the color of the series or whatever. So anyway, that's your map there for corporate tax rate. Get rid of that. And that's question 2. So question 1, what does corporate tax rate mean? You'll do that yourselves. Question 2, as I just did, create a color-coded Excel world map for the data on corporate tax rates. So question 3 then is, what does trade openness mean and how is it measured? And question 4 is, create a color-coded Excel map for the data on trade openness. So that's a separate Excel spreadsheet that we have here. So I'll close the corporate tax rates one. And we're just going to do the same thing again then with another map for trade openness. So the aim is we're going to do the same thing again, put both maps into that Word document, and then in question 5 you're asked to look at the 2 world maps and discuss if you can spot a relationship between trade openness and corporate tax rates. So we'll open up the trade openness spreadsheet now. The same thing here, we've got a bunch of data, 215 countries or 213 countries maybe. For each country, you've got a country, the name of the country, a code, so that's just a 3-letter code that identifies the country, and then trade openness, so a measure of trade openness here is the share of exports and imports in GDP. So in the first spreadsheet we added headings, titles to these columns. We don't need to this time, they're already there. So again, just highlight everything either by clicking and dragging or else by pressing Shift and then using the up and down and left and right buttons on the keyboard. So once everything's highlighted, again, go to the top of the page, click Insert, Maps, Filled Map. So again, if it's not there for you, you might want to use a laptop in the library or get Office 365, which you can get as a new student, or borrow somebody else's laptop. So same thing again here, we've got, Excel has done this for us, it's given us this world map. I'll just make it bigger. So it's put that data into this map, and again all we want to do is just kind of format it then. So again, we don't have a title here, so if you double click on title, and I'm going to change it just to trade openness so that we can identify which map is which. The first one was corporate tax rates, this is trade openness. The legend then is over here, and it already has a title because the series had a heading here. So if I click legend options, text, sorry. If I click these 3 bars here, I can choose where to put the legend. So again, I'll put it at the bottom because that will give more space for our map. There, and again you can choose whether you want the legend to overlap the chart, so it kind of will go on top of it here like that. Okay, so that's the legend, and then if you want to change the colors or anything, just double click on kind of the countries in the map, sorry, like that, and we have series options here. So again, you can change the shape of the map, you can change the area, you can add the labels. If you click best fit, it'll just add the labels for the kind of biggest countries on the map. And then again, we can change the series color. So minimum is the lowest value, and that can be, for example, a bright yellow, and the maximum, the highest value, can be, for example, a darker brown. Like that, okay? Or like I said before, we can have 3 colors where we can go from bright yellow to an orangey kind of color to a dark brown. Okay, so we've got the 2 maps there, and you can do this whatever you want. So you're choosing what color you want the midpoint to be, what color you want the lowest value to be, and what color you want the highest value to be. So again, that's your map done, and there are other things you can do. So if you go format up here, chart design and then format. You can choose to have a different colored background. You can choose to put a border on it, whatever. I'll just put a black border around this one as well because I did that in the last one. So again, now we're just going to copy this whole map into the Word document that we've created. Again, it can be kind of slow doing this just because. Okay, so I'll just put it in below this one. So I'll go paste, Control V. So in this Word document, we're going to have our two maps. So the work that we did in Excel is going to go into the Word document, and you can also answer the other questions. So question 1, question 3, and question 5, you'll just be typing your answers. So here's our map on trade openness. And we have these now one after the other, so we can kind of look at the two of them and compare them a bit. You might want to use kind of the same colours in both maps so you can compare them more easily. Like I said, once you're in Word, you can still make changes to the format of the map. So if I double click on the countries in the map here, it should come over here. Yeah, format data series. And again, you just click on those 3 bars there, series colors, and I can mess with these until the two maps have kind of similar color schemes, because when it gets to question 5 and you're trying to compare the two maps, it'll be easier, I guess, if the two colors are the same. You don't have to, but it's just about formatting things nicely, formatting the data nicely so that you can analyze it easily. Okay, so this is your Word document. So first you're going to have question 1. So format this like you would with any other assignment, with a heading, you know, EC 103, quants, assignment 9 or whatever it is, your name and student number, whatever. So question 1, and you'll give your answer to question 1 there. Then question 2 is the corporate tax rate map. So that's that. Question 3 then, after that, is what is trade openness? And again, I'll let you do that yourselves. And then question 4, it's your trade openness map here. And then question 5, I'll go back to Moodle here. It asks you to look at the two world maps, discuss if you can spot a relationship between trade openness and corporate tax rates in a short paragraph. So again, I'll let you do that yourselves. I'll just have a quick look here. If you take Ireland, for example, you can see here, Ireland has a bright colour there, so it has a low corporate tax rate, as we know, 12.5%, and it's dark there, so it has its trade openness is high. Okay, so it's at the higher end of the trade openness scale on this map. So just look at these different countries, see, is there any pattern? Do the darker countries, do the countries with a high corporate tax rate, so the darker ones on this map tend to have high trade openness? The darker on this map, or did the countries that are darker on this map, so ones with a high corporate tax rate, tend to be lighter on this map, so less trade openness? You can kind of see yourself. Okay? So you'll put your answers to question 1 and question 3 and question 5 all in here, as well as your two maps, which you've done in Excel. And then what we need to do is save this as a PDF. So the way to do this, so she asked us to submit it as a PDF. So if we just go File and then click Print, and then rather than choosing a printer, click Microsoft Print to PDF and then press Print, and you'll be able to save it then wherever you want. Okay, so if I just go Desktop and save it as whatever, Quants Homework 9. Okay, or your name and Quants Homework 9 or whatever. So if I go to my desktop now, I should have this in a PDF. Okay, so here it is now as a PDF. So question 1, which you will have answered there. Question 2, which is our map for corporate tax rate. So it's important in your map that you have the correct title. Don't leave that as chart title. You've got the legend down here, which shows you There you're going from 0, which are the light colours, to 37.5, which are the darkest colours. Question 3, you've answered that there. Question 4, same thing again. You've got your title here, and you've got the legend down here, which shows you that 0.2 are the lighter colours and 381.5 are the dark colours. Okay, and then question 5, can you see any patterns, any relationship between trade openness and corporate tax rates just by looking at these maps, looking at the colours? Okay.